Hello, and thank you for pressing that play button to watch this video very quickly. I'm Clive from Clive's Art. There are other playlists available for you. Just need to click on these buttons below and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed for regular updates and uploads. And you can join me on Facebook where I give regular updates again and give you little snippets of things before they are actually published. So thank you very much. Please join my channel and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello and welcome. I'm Clive from Clive's Art and I'm in the studio at the moment. I'm just getting myself ready so we can carry on with the mixed media project. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe by pressing this button and leave any comments or queries. You can contact me on my email, which is just below there, and or you can contact me on via Facebook. That's great, and you'll find that link there and also below. So let's get the first couple of colours mixed. I put the previous lesson I've actually put in the blue, and this has got some glass bead texture gel. I've also put some texture gel onto the flowers. So what I'm going to do in this particular lesson is actually continue and then put some blue into these flowers and establish that. So without further ado, let's get to the palette. Okay, so as you know, I actually use a wet palette. It is still quite moist. It's been there now for about 3 days. I'm just going to re-scrunch. There's no paint on this, so I'm just going to re-scrunch it, just reapply some water to it, squeeze it out, and I'm going to lay that back onto my palette because it did start to dry just a little bit, but the tissue paper underneath is fine. So I'm just putting that down and replacing my glass mixing plate, spinning around, getting some kitchen roll, because you should always have some of this in the studio because it's a very useful tool, kitchen roll. Just taking the surface moisture off that, and again chuck that in the bin because we don't need it anymore. Okay, so looking at my painting, what I've got here is I'm going to establish some quite dark colour, and then I'm going to tone it down a little bit more then. And I'm just looking at the monitor. I hope I don't look too pink. I have been out in the sun today, and it's actually the sun has actually been shining in Wales, which is fun. And but unfortunately I spent most of the morning in my loft. Yes, I was cleaning up my loft because we're going to have a new roof fitted, and well, that's going to be, I filmed a little bit in there showing you some of my old work right from years ago, and but that's on another YouTube video, so check it out. This link is below. Check that out. I'm not too sure where it's going to be yet, but just, yeah, it's there. Just check it out. If you're not sure where it is, just send me a comment or an email, or join me on Facebook and I will point you in the right direction. So let's get back to this painting. So let's drop the easel down a touch. As you know, my easel goes up and down, which is quite good if you want to stand or sit. I normally sit. And I'm actually sitting on an air suspension stool, so I can adjust the height, which is quite fun. So I can rest my legs on the bottom of the easel, and it's quite comfortable. So I got a number of different seating positions, which is what you need when you're painting. You need to be comfortable and relaxed. Anyway, I digress. So let's have a look. I want to go a darker shade of this, and we mix some Prussian blue with a little bit of white, if I remember correctly, and because it's been a few days since I got to this painting, because I wanted to make sure it's gone really hard, because this texture paste takes a while, so it's better to err on the side of caution and give it that extra day or two. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in on the one flower and I'm just going to put some Prussian blue on it, straight, neat from the tube, maybe just a little bit of water to it. Don't forget the 45% rule. If you're not too sure what the 45% rule is with water, check out the links below and go through those videos and it'll tell you what that is. Because I'm not going down that road again. So let's get to the palette. Let's mix a little bit of Prussian blue. I'll show you how creamy it should be for this particular process. And don't forget, we're actually painting on top of structure gel here. This is the heavy paste, okay. But you can use Common and Garden. I don't know if I got some here. I got it here somewhere, I just don't know where it is. Is tile adhesive. Yes, acrylic tile adhesive for putting ceramic tiles on walls. You can use that. But just do a couple of tests just to make sure it's not going to crack. So don't dry it out too fast. I have got a test canvas here. I'm not sure where it is, but we'll have a look at that again in another YouTube video. Okay, let's get to the palette. Okay, so here we are at the palette. So I guess you could see that okay. You can see my drawer. I've got all my paints, all my acrylic paints here, and I have running a bit low on one or two little things. And this is the Prussian blue I want. Now you can see that that cap isn't on correctly, and it's all gunked up. That's because I'm totally and 100% lazy when it comes to cleaning my tubes. But I don't expect you to do that. Check out a video, there's a link below, of another YouTube video, and I will show you how to correctly store these and what you should do to maintain that they don't go hard on you, or the paint inside doesn't get damaged and start drying on you, that type of thing. But check that out, the links are below. But in the meantime I have been going through my paints and I've been cleaning all the caps up, but you can see I've got quite a lot there, and I don't want to spend all of my precious time in the studio cleaning up tubes of paint. I've got my brushes here, they're already been pre-soaked, and there was a pencil in there that's been pre-soaked. So I got my brushes, I've got my paint. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be using a little bit of water, just ordinary tap water. There we go. And I'm just wetting the surface of my glass plate and picking up some acrylic paint . I've just mixed that with a bit of water, and that's the type of consistency we are looking at. It's a nice creamy mix. Okay, I like mixing on glass panels because it's just something I do. But you can use your you can mix onto your wet palette, that's fine. But this is not going to be on there long, so it's not going to dry too rapidly. And I've got my little mister bottle, as we've discussed in other lessons. So that's just got a little bit of tiny retarder in it, and it just gives it a quick mist, and that just stops the surface of the paint from drying. So let's get to the canvas. Okay, so I've got the paint. Let me just adjust my chair. I got the palette next to me because I am actually working off my palette that's in the bench. I'm not using one of those wooden palettes like you've seen me using before, especially on the previous episode. And I'm just going to apply some of this paint in onto the flower head itself. Sorry about that, I just stopped the camera and jumped up quickly and turned the pump off my fish tank, because it goes like that and it makes a heck of a noise. And anyway, so what I'm doing is just getting this. I know it looks dark, but we're not worried about that because we can get all that sorted out later on with another value. So, but I want to establish this colour. I want to see what it looks like against the background there. And then we can do a little bit of dry brush work after, because we've got all these little nice, you know, sharp edges and raised bits and that we can play with. And you can see I'm using the brush quite close to the ferrule, and the reason for that is because I just got that little bit more control with it. I want a rich blue effect. Just a little tap more water onto my brush, and I'm just when you paint in the direction of what you're painting basically. So this particular petal now is going in, or even you can do it out if you want. It's coming out of the flower. So if you paint in that direction, don't go painting across like that. I don't know why, but you seem to get a better effect if you're painting it in the direction of something you were trying to paint. So just a touch more paint on and water onto my brush, and then we're just going around again into the paint. I'm just going to squirt my palette with my mister bottle, because it is quite warm in here today, and unusually the sun is out this afternoon, and I say this afternoon, it's 10 to 5 in the evening now, so, but it can get quite warm in the studio because I haven't got no skylights like I had in the old studio, but I've got a felt roof, and you can imagine when the sun comes out it heats the shed up, the studio, sorry, not the shed, I shouldn't call it a shed, should I? Cost too much to be a shed. The old one was a shed. It was terrible. Have a look, I don't know if I've left the links on YouTube now to show you what the old studio was like, but yes I have. Have a look, check my 2013 links, and that's when I was in the old, it was a shed, terrible. Anyway, we digress, doesn't we? Yes we do. So let's get ready to rumble on this flower. I know I suppose they are more like poppies than anything else, but it doesn't matter. I've had to paint to this colour scheme and the brief of the customer, so at the end of the day, you know, these would have been nice red, but she doesn't want red, so. Now the opposite of red, opposite of blue is orange. Yes it is. So we'll just put a little bit of orange in there, a bit of a complement then. Okay. We could change the value slightly now. We could I'll get a bit of titanium white. I've got some here somewhere. Just going to drop that onto my palette. Come on, there we go. Mixing a bit more Prussian blue. Where's my squirty bottle? Because it's starting to get a little bit tacky. That's what this is for. We'll just moisten that down a touch. And when you've done that, just go over it very lightly. Just get rid of those bits of paint. Well, look, it's actually lifted off there. That's good. Doesn't matter. We can get around that. Just put a bit of white into that mix. Yeah, so it's just basically, if we can get the first one to look right, let's just add a touch more white to that now, touch more water to the mix, not a lot, and we can get it looking a bit more flowery. I'm not a flower painter, and that's quite an issue with me by here, but we'll get there. It's just a matter of just keeping at it, and it should, as long as we follow in the direction of these petals, it should start to fall together. The first one is important. We'll just rinse the brush, establish a bit more dark in there. This is Prussian blue again now. I'm just flicking that up to make it look as if, obviously it's going to be slightly darker in there. So, oops. That's what I said to you about don't overload your brush. If you think the brush is getting a bit uncontrollable, then rinse it out, wash it out. That's, you know, like I can wash that out now. There you go. A bit of the kitchen roll to hand. It's always handy to keep a little bit of this in your hands, you know. I'm just going to go into some neat white now and see if I can pick up blend that in. You see me using my finger then, but it's okay, you can do that. You see, I use the side of the brush as well as the point as well, so you know it's basically down to you as an artist. You just use your initiative as you're going around the painting, and you'll find sometimes that if you use a brush slightly differently in some places, you know, because you use the side, you can do side painting like that. Look, it gives you different effects. You can double load your brush. You can put white on one side and blue on the other side, or you know, different colours, browns if you're doing little rocks and that type of stuff. But you don't have to use a brush conventionally. You can use it any way you want. It's your brush. And again, I'm washing my brush out. I'm just taking the excess off. I'm not pulling it tight like that. It looks as if I am, but I'm not. I'm just very, very gently just taking the moisture off the brush. Going back into a bit of Prussian blue, just darkening up. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to go over that slightly with a little bit of blue that's on the brush. And because when I put the orange on that, I want a little bit of blue to show through it. So I'm also going to put a little bit of blue just around the edge here to look as if it's a little shadow. I'm just making this up as I go along, really. It's not a plan or anything I've got, really. It's just, I'm just seeing shapes. It's a gut instinct sometimes. Now I could have mixed the pigment with the modelling paste, because that's another thing you could do. But I decided I just want to paint this in myself really. So I want a multitude of blues in here, because this is all the colours that she got on that pillowcase, if you remember the first one. So I just want to bring these blues in, and just a mixture, just blending them out and bringing them down together. And you know, you're the artist at the end of the day. It's important that you decide what works for you. You can copy other people's work because it's a good way of actually learning different skills, but really you need to try and develop your own unique skill set, and that's what's going to set you apart from others, if that's what you want to do. But you can just carry on painting. If it's just a hobby, it's a hobby. You don't have to sell your artwork. Who says you have to sell your artwork? Nobody. You know, if you want to sell your artwork, that's fine. Again, I'm just going to wipe the excess paint off my brush, and I'm just going to blend that in. I'm trying to dry brush it as well as I'm pulling it over. There you are. Yes, it's looking quite nice. And what I think I'm going to continue with these colours now throughout. So I think this one is going to be darker. So what I'm going to do with that one, is I'm going to mix a bit of Mars Black with that. So I'll put a bit of Mars Black onto my palette, and I'm going to get a bit of Prussian blue, and I'm going to mix some Mars Black to that. Just getting a bit more kitchen roll. Oop, knock the camera. Okay, let's try that. Yeah, it's a nice dark Prussian blue now. So, because this flower is going to be in deep shadow, so. And that's a seed head, basically, over there. So that's going to be in between. This is in front, that's your back, your furthest point, and that's your middle distance. Yeah. Again, there's a stalk coming down there. I highly recommend, if you want to paint a particular subject, obviously you've got YouTube and you've got all the other video channels, I suppose, you can connect onto, or you can go and buy yourself a nice book or a DVD from a store, and really you need to go down all these different avenues and try and find something that suits you. Like I said, I'm not a floral painter, but sometimes a nice challenge is good. So I'm just going to bring a bit of light into that flower, because we don't want it all dark and dismal, do we? Because it's bound to be catching a bit of light at some point. And then we go down back into our dark mix, and actually I'm going to go into a bit of black as well, just to chuck a bit of black in there. And yeah, I don't like using dark black. I don't like using black in the painting much if I can help it. But, yeah. Washing the brush again. Back into my dark Prussian blue. A bit of shadow over there. all I'm doing now is I'm mixing a bit of Prussian blue, a bit of white, a touch of black, just to give it that grey type of colour. And I just want to go in with this mix I've made now, which is like well, it's just a slightly darker colour to that one, which is a nice little contrast. And I'm just going to continue painting that one because I want these colours, these flowers to be different colours. I don't want them all to be the same colour because it just won't look right. So because I've got a lot of colours onto that pillowcase, so I really need these to correspond with that because that's the colour scheme of the bedroom. So, but then again, I suppose light will hit flowers in different ways, and you're bound to pick up a couple of different tones of these things. And but then again, this is mixed media, but it's also something that I picked out of my head, so it doesn't really matter. I haven't got to be, you know, life perfect, is it? Because this is what art's all about. You know, it's not a photograph. If it was a photograph, I'd go out and I'd take a photograph. You know, this is art. And my phone just went off again, so that's another subscriber, so thank you very much. And I do appreciate everybody subscribing, because it does take a long time for me to actually produce these videos, not just obviously painting the subjects that I paint, but also editing and producing and all that. You know, if it doesn't come natural to me to use a computer, but I tell you what, I am getting better. So. Okay, so we got a mid-tone, I would say. I don't know, it's like it's just slightly lighter than the other ones, isn't it? So I need to put a bit of, so I'm just going to add a little bit of darker mix to that now. And I'm just going to maybe chuck a bit of dark in there, around the flower. Well, it's really nice. Thank you very much for watching that episode. If you want to check out my links, please check out the links below and subscribe. Yes, if you haven't already subscribed, press that button there, the little red button you'll find underneath. If you can't find that button for any particular reason, scroll down to my descriptions, and at the bottom you will see a link for subscriptions. And on the way, read the description itself, and there are links there for my other playlists, which you will find interesting, because I've got well over 130 plus videos now, so there's plenty there to keep you going. I do question and answers, etc, etc. I'm not covering that now, but just check out the playlists. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so, and thanks for watching this step-by-step lesson.